All right, guys, since you guys have done such a nice job with adding and subtracting green light fractions, we're just going to make the natural transition into adding and subtracting green light mixed numbers. And honestly, it is so similar that we're going to continue to use our DAIS checklist. Again, the D and the A help us to get the answer. The I and the S help us to make sure that our answer makes the most sense. But I just want you guys to understand that if I were to give you a problem like 5, oops, that's not where I wanted that. Let's try this here. If I put this, there we go. If I were to give you a problem like 5 plus 3, I would not need you to rewrite this problem. This is something that you can do even though it's written horizontally and going across. I know that very easily you can figure out that the answer is 8. However, if I were to give you something like this, 543,987 plus 134,897. If I were to give you a problem like this, we all know that we couldn't solve it going across, that we would rewrite this problem going up and down so that we can solve it more accurately. And so we are going to have to do the same thing when we are dealing with mixed numbers. We no longer can just go across like we have been with fractions. We are going to rewrite it. So let me just show you what I mean. We are starting with this mixed number, so I'm going to start with that, 1 1/5. And this is an addition problem, so I'm going to go ahead and hit plus. And then we are going to be adding 2 2/5. And you know, when we talk about lining up, in this case we're lining up the fractions and we're lining up the whole numbers. And then here's my equal sign. And now I'm just simply going to go through my DAIS checklist. And what's really, really nice about adding mixed numbers is it's kind of like two separate problems. And we're just going to take the two parts of the answer and put it together. So if we do the D is denominator. Do we have a common denominator? Here we're dealing with fifths and fifths, so we're good to go. Next thing I'm going to do is check, is it an addition or a subtraction problem? It is addition, so I'm going to go ahead and add. And because I have a fraction column and I have a whole number column, I'm actually going to be adding twice. So I'm going to start over here. Well, 1/5 plus 2 more fifths would be a total of 3/5. And then my kind of Captain Obvious side here, 1 plus 2 more equals 3. So that takes care of the addition step. Now I'm going to check, is the fraction part of my answer improper? Is 3/5 an improper fraction? The answer is no, so I don't have to worry about that. And is the fraction part of my answer in simplest form? I cannot see 1 and done, so I'm going to just do a quick F of 3 and 5. 3 is a nice, easy prime number, and there's nothing times 3 that makes 5, so here we go. We are 1 and done. So if I think about, well, what is my final answer, I have to include both parts of my answer. So if I were to think what's my final answer, it would be 3 wholes and 3/5 more. So my final answer would be 3 3/5. So let's try another one. I'm going to start with my DAIS checklist, and I'm going to go ahead and recopy it. So I'm starting with 5 8/10. And I want to make sure I put that symbol correctly so I don't make a mistake. And we're going to add now our 1 3/10 and put on my equal sign. And it's time to begin. So I'm going to go ahead through the DAIS checklist. I'm going to grab a new marker here. And first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to separate my whole number and my fraction parts. Just makes it easier for my eyeballs. I want to check, do we have the same denominator? We have tenths and tenths, so we're good to go. Adding or subtracting? Well, this is an addition problem, so I'm going to go ahead and add both columns. 8/10 plus 3 more tenths, that would give me a total of 11/10. And in my whole number column, I have 5 plus 1 more is 6. So right now I have an answer. The question is this the best possible answer? First part, improper. Is the fraction part improper? And if I look at 11/10, you bet it is. 11/10 is definitely improper. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a mixed number. So we know that the denominator is going to stay tenths. If I have 11/10, I know that I can make one group of 10/10, and that's going to use up 10 of my 11/10, and then I have 1 left. So what I've done here is I've gotten rid of this ugly improper fraction, and I now have a much nicer mixed number. Now I'm going to go ahead and look, is the fraction part in simplest form? I can see 1 and done, so that's good. So now it's time for me to come up with my final answer. And I have to think about all the different parts of my answer. I know that I have 6 wholes over here, plus I have 1 whole from the fraction part that I got. So that's a total of 7 wholes. In addition to that, I also have the fraction part, 1/10. So my final answer is 7 1/10. Now let's look at what subtraction might look like. So we're going to bust out that DAIS checklist again. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to quickly rewrite these. Don't forget my subtraction sign, that's so important. And I'm going to go ahead and just separate my whole number from my fraction part. And I'm going to go ahead and go through this. We have the D, I can see the same denominator, so I'm good to go. A, so this is a subtraction problem, so I want to make sure that I subtract. So if I have 2/3 in my hand and I take away one of those thirds, I have 1/3 left. And if I have 2 and I take away 1, I have 1 left. So that's there. Now I want to check, is this the best possible answer? Is the fraction part improper? No, 1 is a smaller number than 3, so we're good there. And simplest form, I can see 1 and done, so I'm good there too. So if I think to myself, okay, what's my final answer? I have 1 whole, plus I have another 1/3, so it would be 1 1/3. Last one for this modeling session here. So we have 3 4/8, and we're going to go ahead and take away 1 2/8 and put my equal sign here. Going to divide them so it's a little bit easier to see. And here we go, same denominator. I can see they are good to go. Green light means go. Add or subtract. Well, these are subtractions. So if I have 4/8 in my hand and I take away 2 of those eighths, I'm going to have 2/8 left in my hand. And if I have 3 wholes and I take away 1, I have 2. So right now I have an answer. The question is this the best possible answer? Is the fraction part improper? The answer is no. 2 is smaller than 8, so it's a nice proper fraction, so nothing to worry about there. I cannot see 1 and done, and I can see that 2 and 8 are both even, so definitely going to need to put something in simplest form here. 2 and 8, and my factors are 1 and 2. Of course, 2 is going to work. So it's 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 times 4 is 8. Do a quick bottoms up check. They're both equal to 8. And now I can see 1 and done. So 2/8, a better way to say that is 1/4. So when it comes down time to writing my totally final answer, I can see my whole number is clearly a 2. And I changed 2/8 to a better way to say it, which is 1/4. So my final answer is 2 1/4. Hopefully this is starting to make sense. You can go ahead and try some on your own.